Hey guys, what's going on? I've made this video before, I've talked on this before, but things constantly change, and I'm hearing people on YouTube and on the internet talking about that, Fedor, talking about Fedor fighting Fabricio Werdum. Okay, so if you're watching this years from now, I don't know when you're watching this, but right now Fabricio Werdum is the UFC heavyweight champion. That's what we're talking about. That's at this point in time. And Fedor, I believe, is 39 years old. He's my age. I'm 38, but I'm going to be 39. I think he's already 39. And the reason I wanted to make the video is that, I heard things that he's saying it, he wants to fight the best and this and that. And, I was saying before he was fighting with this Risen thing, I was really disappointed. I made a video on that. I was really disappointed that when I found that out. I was really hoping he was going to come to the UFC. And I said when he comes to the UFC, who should he fight? I thought he should fight somebody like, Matt Mitrione, somebody like that. Just come into the UFC and have a UFC fight. Maybe Alistair Overeem. That would have been a good fight, but don't necessarily have to throw you in there with like the top guys. You know what I mean? Maybe Roy Nelson, something like that. Because I watched these other guys fight. Roy Nelson and Frank Mir and this kind of level. And I'm thinking, man, like Fedor could beat these guys. Why? You know what I mean? So this topic has been just talked. I mean, geez, I remember since people have been talking about this a long time, but even back in 2006, 2005, 2007, when Strikeforce was still around, and the tail end when Affliction was still out, but when all that kind of disappeared, I was like, okay, let's sign Fedor. I mean, then he retired, and he had those 3 losses, which, guys, I think there was almost like a little bit of bad luck. And I think that people were, well, let's not get into all that. We're talking about now. Maybe he was hurt and all that, he wasn't training. His mind wasn't there, into it, because, the guy was beating everybody. So, he went and took all those other fights, and, he made some money. And, fighting Jeff Monson. Jeff Monson's a great fighter, by the way. I mean, I wouldn't want to fight Jeff Monson. That's a scary individual. I don't know why Jeff Monson's never been in the UFC. But probably can't pass a drug test. That's for darn sure. But guys, I want to make this video because, I could talk about Fedor for hours. I'd have to say my all-time favorite. He should be my all-time favorite. It's just like, oh man, I just feel like, man, I don't know. With him just never coming to the UFC, and just the way his career is kind of gone at the end of his career, because he's just so good. He's so good. He's so much better. You watch these heavyweights, guys. The heavyweights, remember, they don't have the coordination like these little guys at 155, and they're not fluid and all this. Some big old dudes, but like Fedor, he's so fluid, is soft on his feet, and his punching, and his crazy submissions, and he's a smaller guy. He really shouldn't even, his frame. People say he should fight at 205, but I don't think his physique, like his legs, his calves. He's a big guy. I can't see him making 205. That's something he would have been extremely dedicated to doing. And he's just kind of a smaller heavyweight. He's just a smaller heavyweight. But should he come to the UFC right now, at 39 years old, I don't think that he should. But I will say this, if he's going to come to the UFC, then you better come to the UFC because you're 39. You know what I mean? This is like, we've talked on this always, he's 35, and then when he's 37, this and that, you know what I mean? Oh, come back, you're 36 or whatever it was. But this is it. 39 years old. I mean, I personally don't think he should come to the UFC. Could he beat Fabricio Verdum? Yeah, he can. That's why I've been like pulling my hair out with this whole thing, like watching Verdum, and I'm just like, oh my God, this guy's just, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, where's Fedor? Where is Fedor? Fedor could beat this guy. I mean, in that first fight, guys, I mean, Fabricio, Fedor was about to kill that guy. He just fell to the ground, you know what I mean? He had nothing, no stand-up. I mean, no stand-up at all. Like, he had nothing for Fedor. He couldn't hang with Fedor even slightly. Fedor could have had one arm and would have knocked him out, you know what I mean? So then we're watching this guy beat these other guys in stand-up, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going crazy. And they go, oh, well, he's better now. I'm sure he is better, but, he still ain't going to sit there and trade punches with Fedor. I mean, not even close. And Fedor just, I think he was just too cocky, just crawl into a submission like he used to do with Nogueira, and not crawl into a submission, but crawl into his guard like he did with Nogueira. But that was dumb to do with Nogueira. Nogueira almost submitted him a few times during those fights, which is completely stupid because all he had to do was let him back up, and Nogueira had nothing for him in the stand-up game. So that was not wise of Fedor. It was cool to watch, but it was not wise. And we see Nogueira submit like, Mirko Cro Cop, and I'm sure, Fedor's submission defense is much better than Cro Cop, but like I said, he almost got caught a couple times against Nogueira, so, that was poor decision-making from Fedor, but it always had worked for him in the past. He always won. But you won't see Fedor crawl. If they sign this fight, Fedor and Fabricio Verdum, you won't see Fedor crawling into Fabricio Verdum's guard. That's for damn sure. The reason I say that Fedor shouldn't come to the UFC, like I've always wanted to see him, but now at 39, I don't think that he should, unless it's this super fight with Verdum. And if he beats Verdum, he should just retire right there. He shouldn't continue. I don't think that the UFC's cage is conducive to Fedor's fight style, unless he completely, maybe if he had came to the UFC younger and reworked his fight style, lifted weights, bulked up some more. Say he was younger, say he was 34, came to the UFC, he would have time to kind of, because the problem is, you guys seen this, when he came to Strikeforce, Brett Rogers, they just, push him up against the cage. Literally just manhandle somebody. And that's something that Fedor, you could never do that. You could try and get him against the ropes, but, you could move. Even Cro Cop was talking about that. When you're against the ropes, you can still move your head out of the way. Literally, when you have these monster guys like, Brett Rogers, and then we even seen Bigfoot Silva do that. Just, get him and just slam him against the cage. It's, the cage is more conducive to a larger individual. I guess you can't say that because you use your movement, but it's more conducive to a larger individual when it comes to just like literally just holding somebody up against the cage and this and that. Like I said, if he had more time, he could maybe train according to that, but I don't think Fedor even trains in a cage. And for these Joker fights that they did with him with this Rizin thing, that's all with ropes, in a ring. So, he obviously hasn't been training in a cage. That being said, guys, this is the last time, 39. If they're going to do this, they ought to sign the fight. They should sign, you know, the UFC, they say they want to sign, they want to do big fights. I mean, what fight? What fight? There ain't no fight. This fight, well, the numbers wise, I mean, maybe one, but I mean, it's gotta be, in my eyes. I mean, this is way bigger than any stupid Conor McGregor fight. Like, I like Conor McGregor and I like his fights, but they say his fights are like the biggest fights, right? I mean, Fabricio Verdum versus Fedor. Of course, there's probably a lot of fans in the UFC now that never even seen Fedor, people that are just from the last couple of years. But man, this is a big fight. Fabricio Verdum versus Fedor. And guys, we all know Fedor can beat him because it's not like Fabricio Verdum is still young. He's aged with just like Fedor's been aging. And, but I just, like I said, pulling my hair out to see this guy. No stand-up for Fedor at all. And he's over there beating guys in stand-up. I'm like, man, give me a break. And they're saying his stand-up is, because it's improved. I mean, I'm sure it's improved, but, there's certain things you cannot teach, and you cannot teach how hard Fedor hits. I mean, this guy just murders people. And these monstrous guys, too. I mean, monstrous guys, and he's knocking these guys out. So I mean, it's nothing but... Fedor is amazing fighter, and it's just a true... Literally the first, at least, unless you talk about little tiny guys, like Uriah Faber was, like... one of the first, like, really well-rounded fighters, but, submissions and wrestling and stand-up and everything. I mean, when he was starting, Uriah Faber was a big deal. He's kind of had a lot of losses, later in his career, but he was a real big deal, back in the day. I was going to say, he was a well-rounded mixed martial artist, back in the day. But, that's a little guy. But for a big guy... like literally Fedor was like in pride and everything. He was like, the first, like well-rounded. Like, I mean, literally no holes in his game. I mean, he had no holes in his game, other than some giant could maybe hold him down. But he used to fight these massive guys. I mean, crazy. So guys, They need people to talk about this fight forever. There's not going to be any more talking about it after this. This is it. If they're going to do it, then do it. And I would love to see Fedor come and fight Fabricio Verdum. I don't want to see him just come to the UFC. But there's talks about this fight. I think Fedor should beat Verdum and then just retire. So that's a wrap. Be the champ for a while. And then he literally should just retire. And I'll see you guys later.